Welcome to Conversations, Season 2 of the MTA podcast series, a weekly audiocast featuring interviews with leading investment strategists, geopolitical experts, and other key thought leaders, brought to you by the Market Technicians Association.
Welcome to Conversations, the official MTA podcast interviews. I'm Alex Spiroglou, and today I'm joined by George Davis, who's the Chief Market Technician for RBC Capital Markets. George was recently awarded by Technical Analyst Awards as Best FX Research and Strategy, and today we'll be talking to him and getting a bit more insight about his experience and what he can share with us. Welcome to the show, George.
Thank you, Alex.
My first question would be, could you give us some information about your educational background and how you grew up, anything before you got acquainted to technical analysis?
Sure. In terms of educational background, I was educated in Canada, getting a undergraduate degree in finance with a minor in marketing. And basically, once I moved through, as I was moving through university, that's where I started to develop a bit of an interest in financial markets and more specifically in the area of technical analysis.
Brilliant. And how did your actual involvement with technical analysis begin?
It was actually, my first involvement was actually quite interesting. We had a family friend who was a specialist on the floor of the Montreal Stock Exchange. So I used to go down and spend time with him just to see how the financial markets worked. And one of the things I noticed when I was sitting on the exchange was all of these traders had these little, they were charts, but at the time it looked like they were just playing tic-tac-toe, and it was your traditional point and figure chart. And so I started asking questions about these charts and exactly what they were and how they worked and how they were used. And that's what initially piqued my interest in the area of technical analysis. And then from there, basically, I picked up John Murphy's book, gave that a read, and then basically discovered that was something that I was very much interested in. And then since then, it was just a matter of reading more books, studying to get the CMT designation, of course, and just sort of broadening my knowledge by actually applying the different things that I learned about in the marketplace, and a matter of feeling comfortable with which indicators worked best for me. So it was kind of an interesting start to an initiation to technical analysis.
Okay, speaking about applications, could you please describe us your day-to-day responsibilities and what is the most challenging aspect of your job?
Sure. In terms of day-to-day responsibilities, basically I oversee the technical analysis research product that we produce at RBC Capital Markets with a main focus on foreign exchange and fixed income markets. I'm a very heavy user of intermarket analysis, so I certainly look at commodity and equity markets as well. But FX and fixed income are sort of my main areas of concentration. So in terms of daily routine, certainly when I get in first thing in the morning, it will be a matter of reviewing the overnight price action in the FX and fixed income markets, taking a look initially at some of the shorter term charts. So I take a look at sort of the hourly and daily charts to frame the upcoming trading day in terms of what our core outlooks are for the various currency pairs and fixed income markets. And then generally what I'll do is take a look at some of the longer term charts, i.e. the weekly and the monthly charts as well, just to remind myself what the bigger picture trends are. And then generally we run a morning meeting where I will go through some of our key ideas for our salespeople and our traders, key technical levels that we think they should keep an eye on in FX or fixed income markets. And then the balance of the day generally is spent interacting with clients, providing them with information and feedback from a technical perspective, client requests for specific charts, and of course we produce ongoing ad hoc research based on market developments as well. So it's a combination of a number of different things that we'll be looking at throughout the trading day.
I see. Having mentioned intermarket analysis, now that brings us to the next question. It's called the toolbox. Could you please give us a word about your favorite tools and techniques? I mean, what do you specialize? You already mentioned intermarket analysis. What is on top of that?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, intermarket analysis is an area that I spend a lot of my time on. As well, I think I'm more of a traditional chartist in terms of the application of price patterns, recognizing those double bottoms and double tops, triple bottoms, triple tops, flags, triangles, pennant patterns, things of that nature. I'm a very heavy user of candlestick charts as well. They're very good for identifying potential turning points in the marketplace, which I think is very key for our traders, our salespeople, and of course our clients in terms of what that might mean for the risk that they're managing. So I generally exclusively look at point and figure charts now on most of the instruments that I cover. And then in terms of some of the indicators that I like to use, certainly pay a lot of attention to moving averages, 40, 50 day versus the 200-day moving average, looking for medium-term to longer-term price changes, or trend changes rather. In terms of other indicators, I like to use RSI and momentum a lot, generally 10 to 12-day measures on those indicators, as well as the slow stochastics. And basically what I'm doing there is looking at the market in terms of valuation. So is it potentially overbought or oversold? And more importantly, in my work, what's really compelling is when divergences start to appear on the charts. That is when I'll start to get certainly a lot more defensive with respect to trend exhaustion potential. So that's basically the main sort of tools that I will use. I will use a lot of Fibonacci retracement levels when we do get trend changes. Those serve as good sort of potential price targets for that type of thing. And I'm not a very heavy user of Elliott wave, but I will look at it on some of the longer term charts, i.e. the weekly and the monthly charts, just to get an idea of where some of the wave patterns are. For example, generally the third wave tends to be the most explosive wave, so if I'm able to identify that on some of the longer term charts, that will certainly have some implications for some of the medium to shorter term breakouts that we see.
Thank you. So who would you say have been the greatest influences in your life in terms of analysis or theories? And could you please recommend, say, 3 books that you would, for someone that would start out in technical analysis?
I think probably one of the biggest influences would certainly have been John Murphy's work. That's the first book that I ever read about technical analysis, so certainly that's always carried a lot of weight in my mind in terms of how I actually approach the markets. And sort of adding to that, after Murphy put out his original book, he came out with a second book that was a focus on intermarket analysis, and obviously that is one of the key inputs that I use in my work. So certainly I think Murphy has had a huge impact on what I've done in terms of my work. Definitely his 2 books, Technical Analysis of the Financial Markets and Intermarket Technical Analysis, I think would be well worth reading. And as well on the candlestick side, I think Steve Neeson's books on candlestick charting, very, very, I think, applicable and relevant to the marketplace. So I think in terms of reading materials, those would be the top 3 for me.
Thank you. And from all these years you've been studying and practicing technical analysis, if I had to ask you to distill your knowledge and your experience in like 2 or 3 principles, technical analysis principles, which would these be?
I think the first one would be probably a reluctance to trade against the trend or go against the trend. I'm very much a traditional trend follower in the sense that I will rarely try and pick a top or bottom in the market. I would generally look for a reversal pattern to form or for a trend line to break before I actually start to shift my view. And I've just found from experience, because I have traded as well before I moved into my research role, and certainly fighting the trend at times was a very costly lesson. So it's something that you don't tend to forget. So certainly that would be probably number 1. Number 2 would definitely also be proper risk management. In other words, knowing when the trade is not panning out or working according to your expectations, and being able to proactively stop yourself out because you're not seeing the follow through that generally you were expecting. I think that's crucial. Especially for people who obviously are managing money. As a portfolio manager, you want to trade with the trend, let those profitable trades unfold accordingly, but the ones that don't work out, those are the ones that you want to stop out early. And from experience, one of the things that I found is if you go back and look at your trading record, oftentimes out of, for example, 10 trades, you might have 6 or 7 that go wrong, but you still make money. Because those 6 or 7, you were disciplined enough to exit and stop yourself out quickly, and the ones that were working profitably, you let them go with the trend.
Okay, thank you. And the last question is fun facts about George. What do you do to relax and take your minds off of markets? Do you have any hobbies?
In terms of relaxation, I think the primary thing that I try to do is work out as much as I can. Sometimes with my travel schedule, it's not always as easy as I would like, but certainly I do like to run and do some cardiovascular exercise as well as some weights, just to do more physical exercise as opposed to the mental exercise that we tend to do day to day. Also very avid fan of various sports activities, so I like to watch professional hockey, football, basketball, Formula One. More recently I've started getting more into golf, so I think that probably means I'm getting a little bit older, but I'm not very good at it, but I'm trying to pick that up a little bit, and also like to enjoy the occasional glass of fine wine.
Brilliant. George, thank you very much for the opportunity of this interview. Wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much.